What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas Nemeziz 17.3 in the launch Dust Storm Pack colorway. Now, I've had a lot of requests to do a video on these, which is obviously what you're getting today, but I've also had quite a few requests not only for this boot, but for a lot of takedown models to make playtest videos, which historically I've only done playtests on top-end shoes. So if you guys would like to see a playtest video on the Nemeziz 17.3 or just on takedown models in general, leave a like on the video and let me know down below in the comment section if that's something you'd be interested in seeing more of on the channel. If enough of you guys want to see it, it's something I will get working on right away. Anyways, this is of course the new Nemeziz 17.3, which has a retail price of $80 US. So it is in that very popular kind of budget price point of boot where you have Nike Mercurial Victory 6, Hypervenom Felon 3, the Ace 17.3, the X 17.3 now, a lot of very, very popular models. And historically, Adidas has not made the greatest shoes at this particular price point, but I have to say, I'm very, very impressed with the quality on the Nemeziz 17.3. So much so, I'd be willing to say that this is probably the best quality takedown model at the $80 price point that we've ever seen from the brand. With that in mind, there are definitely some flaws. There's some great things about it as well, and I'll be pointing all of that out for you in today's video. So if you want to learn more, stick around. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $80 retail price. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. So obviously, $80 price point, they're gonna be significantly different than the two top-end models in the line, be it the 17 Plus at $320 or the 17.1 at $225, and then below that, you have the 17.2, which retails for $140. These are $60 less than that. And quite honestly, like I said, the quality is better than I expected. So the upper, instead of being made of agility bandages, you can see the graphics make it look like the higher end model, so they don't look cheap, which is very, very important for a takedown model in my opinion. You never want to buy a boot that just doesn't look good, and these definitely look pretty good in my opinion, at least if you like the design of the Nemeziz. But instead of actually having the different materials and the actual bandages all attached together, the upper is predominantly made out of one single type of material, and that is what they're calling agility mesh, which is a textile-based or a mesh-based synthetic material, the polyurethane top layer, and there is a liner on top, but for the most part, it's relatively thin, it's soft, it's flexible, and it feels very, very good. It reminds me a lot of the toe section on the Ace 16.3 Prime Mesh, which was a previous generation Ace takedown model that actually was pretty decent as well, but I think these are a little bit better quality overall. And you get that same material, that agility mesh, across the entire upper. So you can again see where the Nemeziz branding here, that would normally be a separate individual tape band. It's just graphics printed on top, but basically the agility mesh goes all the way through the entire upper, even around the heel. The only part that isn't agility mesh is this elasticated band you see here going across the top and the mid part of the foot itself where the laces are positioned. It's filled in with more of like a stretchy neoprene material. So you are left with this agility mesh for the entire upper, and the touch on the ball is on the thinner side. It's good quality, and quite honestly, if I'm being 100% brutally honest, it doesn't feel that different from the Agility Knit 2.0 you're gonna find at the toe of the top end model. So as a whole, in terms of touch, these do not feel cheap at all, which is definitely a very good thing because a lot of $80 price point synthetic boots can feel very, very plasticky, and you don't get that sensation from these whatsoever. The lacing system, and I guess the enclosure for your foot being entirely one piece, it is down the middle like you'd find on the high-end 17.1, but you do have a little bit longer of a lacing system, so there are more lacing positions here, which I personally prefer. I like to have a little bit more security through the lacing system when you pull the laces tight, locking your foot in place. So that's kind of interesting that they chose to do that on the takedown versus the higher-end version. Anyways, still uses a dual lacing hole setup, so nothing too crazy there. And then of course it is filled in with an elasticated kind of neoprene material through the middle, which feels good. You get a nice seamless one-piece construction. They made the seams pretty good as well, so there's not really any overlapping materials, which is very good. It feels good on your foot. It wraps your foot nicely for an $80 shoe, which again, they can have kind of interesting, quirky fits. This doesn't necessarily have that, at least when you're talking about the heel forward. The heel area, that's where I have some issues. Anyways, so you're gonna find what they call their dual lock collar, where technically you have a band here and you have a band here, although this band isn't actually a band. It's just a regular construction for a low-cut shoe. This is an elasticated band, and it really has nothing to do with locking your heel in place. It's just an extension piece. It gives it this interesting look that you'll find across the entire Nemeziz lineup. It doesn't have the little kind of rubberized or silicone pieces on the underside like you'll find on the higher end boot either. But this is pretty much an actual agility bandage that you would find on the higher end boots throughout the entire construction of the shoe versus just in this section like you'll have right here. Again, more of an aesthetic thing than an actual performance feature. It's got the V low cut right here, where a lot of people are concerned about that. Doesn't really feel unusual at all. Just feels like a standard low cut shoe. Internal plastic heel counter, and then you look at the heel liner, it's got a nice amount of padded synthetic suede material. It feels really, really nice to the touch, but when you put these things on, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video, the fit in the heel is the downfall of this shoe for me. It's not detrimental to the overall performance. I don't think it's the main reason why you shouldn't buy these. And I'm not saying you shouldn't buy them. I'm just saying it's something you need to take into consideration because the fit in the heel is very, very shallow. And that's something that's been a common characteristic for a lot of Adidas takedown models. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure why they do this. It seems like it would be a simple enough thing to fix. But it does have a very shallow fit in the heel, meaning that your heel doesn't seem to fit deep enough in the shoe. It's not sliding where it's that shallow, but it just feels a little bit odd. Again, we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later in the video. The insole, it's an $80 takedown model, and from a brand like Nike, the insole would be removable. From Adidas, it's technically glued in. You could remove it if you really, really wanted to, but there's a lot of glue in there, so I'm not going to remove it, just because there's not really much of a need to, but it's a single layer of foam, and it's got a mesh liner on top. Pretty straightforward as far as an insole is concerned. And then moving on to the outsole, it's really nothing special. It's a standard TPU plastic material. It technically is not a torsion frame like you'll find on the higher end shoes, which doesn't so much affect the feel that much. This is definitely stiffer than what you'll find on the higher end shoes, but still decently flexible overall. It's got more thickness to it, I would say. But it will impact the weight, which you guys will see in just a second. And of course, you maintain the exact same stud pattern as the top end model as well, which is technically FGAG. So these are suitable for use on firm natural grass as well as artificial grass playing surfaces. So overall, the Soleplate is about what you would expect from Adidas at this particular price point. In terms of weight, in a size 9 US, these guys weigh in at 9 ounces. So they do weigh significantly more, I would say, than what you'll find from the higher end models, which weigh in at around 7.5 ounces or so. Now, 1.5 ounces obviously isn't a lot, but 9 ounces is not exactly considered lightweight, as you would consider the higher end models to be more of a lightweight feel overall. So if you're looking for a super light shoe, these aren't necessarily going to provide that sensation for you on feet. Now aesthetically, kind of talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, they did put the graphics on there to make it look more like the top end model. And I would say for the most part, they did a pretty good job at making the shoe look relatively premium. It does not look cheap by any means. I think if you look at a shoe like the X 16.3 or even the X 17.3, that's a takedown model at 80 bucks that to me just looks really, really cheap. These don't have that look at all, especially when you get even up close with them. You get to see the detail of the mesh on the underside of the upper. I think the collar itself makes a good impression in terms of making the shoe look more premium. I guess a giveaway from a distance is that the back part is much lower than what you would find on the higher end versions of the shoe. And obviously the sole plate doesn't look quite as good in terms of how it's finished either. But overall, I think it looks pretty cool. I'm a fan of the Dust Storm pack color with the white, black, and neon yellow color combination. It's a little bit unusual how the Nemeziz branding kind of lines up off-centered versus being directly down the middle, but obviously they couldn't print it where the seam is. So all in all, I think they look pretty good for an $80 takedown model, especially from the Adidas brand, because historically, in my opinion at least, they tend to look a little bit cheap. That's enough about tech specs though. Let's take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So you can see on the right shoe, I actually swapped out the stock black laces for some junior length neon yellow reflective laces. And I went with junior length just because the stock laces are really, really long, and you guys will see once I get them on. Anyways, neon yellow, it matches the stripes on the shoe. I thought it was a pretty cool little accent. If you are interested in a pair of SR4U laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.soleplate.com. www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. So putting them on, straightforward, being that it is laceless, not laceless, low cut, sorry. And then of course you do have this little extension piece right here, which you will have to adjust when you put them on just because of how it kind of crinkles up. Anyways, tying them up, pretty straightforward. It's got a one-piece design, which is definitely really nice. So I'm going to tie these up, and you can see these are the junior length ones, just to cut down on a little bit of extra slack. Obviously, this is very much just a personal preference thing. I would just rather have less slack rather than more slack. Completely up to you though, and you can see it does use a lot more lacing than what you would find on the 17.1. I'm going to put this one on as well, just so you can see them both on feet, of course. There we go. Fix this, because again, that will crinkle up once you actually put them on. Then just pull the laces, pretty straightforward. But again, look at the stock laces, how long they are. It's a little bit, I don't know why. It's the same thing on the high-end 17.1 as well. They just made really, really long laces for almost no reason at all. Anyways, here is a look at the shoes on feet. And the first thing that I immediately notice, even before tying the laces, is the fit in the heel. It's not that you're not locked in, because the slippage isn't necessarily that bad. There is some slippage, I would say, but it's just got such a shallow fit, meaning that your heel seems like it's not sitting deep enough in the shoe. Your heel, like the structure of the shoe ends right about here, and your heel actually sits way higher up than what it looks like. And again, you just don't have that sensation of stability because of how shallow it is. That would be my one complaint with this particular shoe. And something that would definitely make me consider other shoes if I was looking at something at the $80 price point. I think that a nice alternative to these, if you're interested in this style of shoe and you only have $80 to spend, would be something like a Hypervenom Felon 3. That has a similar quality I guess layout in terms of tech specs. It's got the mesh-based upper, and then of course it does have kind of the same low profile, kind of lightweight design. Those are going to be a little bit lighter, and the fit overall I would say is better in general. But the rest of the shoe fits really nicely. It's got a good secure wrap. Obviously it doesn't necessarily feel like the high-end models because it's not using the same type of upper at all, or the agility bandage system, I should say, but it still wraps your foot really nicely. It's got a good snug fit through the forefoot, toe box, and midfoot area. It's just that heel area to me that is the downfall of this particular shoe, unfortunately, and I'm not sure why. It's something that Adidas can't seem to get right with a lot of these takedown models. It's not every single pair, but every once in a while, for some reason, they just end up with this really unusual shallow fit in the heel. Anyways, width-wise, they're not super narrow, they're not super wide, they'll fit most people. You're not going to expect too much stretch out of these, I would say, but for the most part, these will fit most people. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So that is pretty much it, guys, for my review of the Adidas Nemeziz 17.3 in the launch Dust Storm Pack colorway. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the little eye in the corner of the screen or the first link down below in the description. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $80 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, check it out. If you have any questions regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments. I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.